Hi, I'm Dave, welcome to the channel. A couple of magnetic racing kit builds today, both of which sent to me very kindly by Doug in a care package recently. The first of which, just a quick build, is the paintbrush holder, which is a very useful gadget. And then after that, we'll do this really good Hughes Garage SCA Carrera Digital Power Base Start Gantry. I'm going to really enjoy this one, but save the best till last. Let's just do the paintbrush holder first. Now you know by now how this goes. The tools you will need for this are a file, a knife, maybe, some super glue, and a cup of coffee in a magnetic racing cup. Lovely. Right, let's get on with this then. There we are. Now, I should point out, one of the best things about building a magnetic racing kit is always that lovely smell of the burnt wood. I mean, as good as the smell of coffee is, the burnt wood is just a beautiful smell. So this is a fairly straightforward thing to put together by the looks of things. That bit looks like it goes probably in there with that, I'd a guess. I mean, you know, some people look at the instructions, don't they? And these, well, I reckon that one's going there. That one's going there. And that one's going there. And then that'll go on the end. And then this last one will go on the top. Okay, so first things first, let's sand all these little bits off. Here we go. You know how this goes. Now, those of you with a keen eye will notice that Doug's been having a bit of fun here. They're not all just round circles. Some of these are Pac-Man and some little ghosts. Nicely done. So let's put this together. We should put that on the outside, shouldn't we? Okay. So I was going to use the thick glue, but I changed my mind. I'm just going to put all of this just so it's braced like this. And I think I'll use the medium glue because it will just get in a few more places. So there we are. That is done. And you don't have to just put paintbrushes in it. and I probably won't. Thanks, guys. Right then, slot car adventurers, it's time for the Hughes Gantry. Now, I did finish this, and I did put no brushes and all of my files in it. And I sent a picture of it to Doug at Magnetic Racing and said, you know what? These files all come in sets of 10 and they're always the same shape. If you could do me one of these with 10 holes with the shape etched into it, so I can stand all my files up and find the right one that's the right shape when I want it, that would be brilliant. And he replied, on it. So by the time this video comes out, there might be one of those for all I know. Doug is very quick at these sorts of things, as he was with this, with Hughes. So let's get in here, and then I've got myself a fresh cup of coffee, of course, because I think I'm going to need one or two. Okay, 1mm thick Carrera signs. May use those, may not. Not sure yet. And quite a lot of stairs. And the gantry, both sides. Okay, that makes sense. Stair rail for that. And then this one is the main piece. Here's the other rail for the gantry. Some more sets of steps and the deck for that. Okay. That's the main deck and the side support structures. There's that guy on the motorbike going past again. Yeah, well, I reckon this might be a little bit tricky because there's some A's and B's here. But I'm going to have a go at it without looking at the instructions. I may give in and use the instructions because A's and B's scare me a little bit. That might need some thinking about. But as usual, I'm going to pop all of these out of here, work my way through a cup of coffee and file all the burrs off. So I'll start that, and we might cut away from it because it's going to get boring after a while. And we'll come back, I've got all the bits, and I think I know what's going on with the A's and B's. Okay then, I had to move you back a bit and zoom out a bit more because there's quite a lot of this, very big. So I've gone through, I've sanded and filed all of the little burrs off, so everything is good to go. And I've laid it out so I can work out what's going on. So these two pieces are the main structure, like that. These two pieces are the cladding. This is the structural deck, this is the cladding deck. A few steps to go up these. These pieces, I think, help to reinforce where the steps join on here. And this is the structure for this deck, and that's the fascia for it. And the other side to the stairs for the other side of this, and the stairs with the stair guide. Now, if you've done magnetic racing kits with stairs in them before, you'll know about this, but if you haven't, the stair guide is a very useful thing. So you get your two sides of your stairs you fit them in the holes, like, hold on, like that. And when you come to assembling your stairs, you just then have to drop these into here and glue them in, and it'll all be straight and square. It's a brilliant idea. Everybody should do it. Like that. So I'm going to paint everything with white primer apart from the surfaces that you walk on, which I'm going to paint with a dark grey primer just to differentiate them. But broadly speaking, I think it should be white. I've got Marshall posts and I've painted them white. That kind of track scenery side of things, that's like racetrack scenery side of things, is white on my track. So that's what we're going for. So I shall go off and I shall spray all the bits, and then we'll come back and start trying to put it together. So here we are back. All the pieces are painted with white primer and dark grey primer. Now, one thing I didn't mention before I went away and painted them is the start gantry comes with this piece on one side, which is to hold 5 start lights that would go with the 5 Carrera start lights. You could probably get the start light arch, which is fairly ugly from Carrera, and take the electronics out and hide it in here and poke the lights through here, and that probably worked really well. I have a different plan for this, so I don't want this on here. So I just sliced it off before I did everything else. You can't even see it's gone. So this, or at least lights for this, will be the subject of a part 2 video when a bit that I've ordered off eBay turns up. Until then, I'm just going to build this fairly straight. Now, one of the great things about using white primer on magnetic racing kits is where the laser burns it. If you use white primer, some of that charring starts to show through the white primer again. So I don't know if I can show you, maybe if it comes out on here, but where the holes are, there's a slight discoloration in the primer because there was quite a lot of burning and fine work around here to do this rail. Again, there's some charring, and it comes through, and it's sort of self-weathering. I want this to look like it's generally looked after, but probably is in need of a lick of paint because it got one the year before last. You know, so I want it to look like it's been painted white, but where the steel is, maybe the rust is starting to come through, and somebody should come along with a wire brush and a paintbrush and redo it at some point. So just using the white primer and only using 2 thin coats of it rather than, you know, jolloping it on and then putting a top coat on and just making it pristine white. This gives me a little bit of, it's subtle weathering without having to do anything much. So I just wanted to mention that. This fresh cup of coffee is going to get drained along the way here. Now, having done a sort of hand-built dry assembly of this first, it's fairly clear to me that everything needs to be very, very well lined up. So I'm going to go for the thick super glue this time, because you get a 45-second cure on this one, whereas the medium one is only a 20-second cure. So you've got half a chance to have 2 goes at it if you get something slightly wrong, if you use the thicker one. And because you always need, I prefer to pour my super glue out and then apply it with a cocktail stick or something. So I always need a flat surface. And of course, the stair guide is not part of the model, it's just a jig. And as long as I don't get super glue in these, when I get to building the stairs, I can just build the stairs. But in between whilst, I can use this as my glue pad, which is great. Now, the other thing I don't need at the moment is this handful of little pieces here, because these go underneath this gantry, thus, and they are, if you have any wiring for lights, they're to put in afterwards to keep the wires tidy. So I won't be using these right now. We shall keep these aside for video part 2 as well. Other than that, I think it's fairly straightforward. I'm going to start with the gantry, and I need to put the outside cladding on it both sides before I start building the other bits. Then I might build the 2 staircases, and then I might try and fit all of the rest together. These A's and B's, I think, will become more apparent when the rest of it's together, but they seem to be to do with supporting the staircase on the ends of this deck, because they fit into there like that. So this will be fun. We should probably have a bit of fast forward and some more cranky music while I glue this together, and probably glue myself to this while I'm at it. So here we are, all finished then. It's a really nice kit. A little bit tricky to put together, but not too bad. Certainly not the worst of Magnetic Racing's kits in terms of complexity. But yes, great thing. It does naturally sit level. If you've got something going on, maybe you haven't quite built it straight, you could put some packers under the front, these two legs at the front here, to pack it up. Or if it's sitting too far back, I think you can lift it as well. I mean, it does naturally sit level. It's very well designed, but if your skills are maybe not quite as accurate as mine, and you've got a bit of droop in it, there's remedies for that. You don't need a blue pill. You just probably need to pack the legs up slightly. So that's that. I haven't put any of the sponsor signs on that could go on here, because with what I'm going to do with the lighting, I'm going to need to save some weight. On the subject of this gantry, there's a lot of things you could do. I mentioned before that you could put the Carrera start arch in and put your start lights in there. If you run, as I do, analog and digital, you might find that you could put one of those DS timing systems in, put the lights in underneath the gantry and fix the sensors in the track. That could be possible. I'm sure somebody will be doing that. As I say, I have a slightly different plan. Going to put quite a few lights on here, so I'm going to save weight and not overly, cause it trouble. But what I am also going to do is another modification. Now, like I say, I run analog sometimes and digital sometimes. So my digital usually comes on my tablet with my Smart Race app, and I've been using the Magnetic Racing phone holders for this. But it's a little bit upright and vertical. It's not a perfect solution. And when I run analog, I use Smart Race in sensor mode. So I've got an old phone, but it's attached to one of these camera tripod things. And it sits there like that. And again, it's not ideal. So I was looking, and I came up with this. This will fit in here. This would fit here. Or, if I wasn't using the analog mode and was just digital, it would fit here. Now again, it could probably be a little bit more upright than that, as could this one. And it turns out the best thing to use is this sprue left over from the kit. Now, you see this piece here. If you draw these lines straight down and then cut that piece in half, this piece will fit in here. And the other one on the other side will fit here. And stick up a bit further, maybe to about here, which would reinforce the edge against a heavier tablet. It'll give me another pair of legs standing down there to stop this sagging with the extra weight that I'm putting on this end. And it'll probably look all right. So I'm going to chop these out, paint them white, stick them on, and obviously with my tablet, the charging point's in the side, so that's fine. But with my phone, the charging point is in the bottom. So I might just notch a little bit of this out, just so I can get my charge cable in. So that's my plan. I'm going to try it. We'll see what happens. I'll be back in a minute. So here we are back again. I got a couple of those Munden Park signs that I'd printed out for doing that tower before. Put those on there, stuck them to that piece of wood. If we go around this way, another one on that side, a bit of Magnetic Racing. Cut a little hole in the bottom as a vent for the CU because we don't want that overheating. And Try not to make you seasick. Same the other side. So if I put you back very gently on the tripod, you can see now that, while this looks fine like this, you can fit your smart race on there if you want to. And, you know, everything's there. That's great. And if you're doing analog, smart race analog, with the sensors there and there, picking up the two cars all in line. And it keeps it nice and neat, and I haven't got all those other things just cluttering up this area now. And of course, if I don't want this one here, I can just, well, take it off and move somewhere else. So there we are. That is it for part 1. In part 2, there will be lights on this gantry. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch one of my videos. If you liked it, you will find a button specifically for that. Please subscribe to the channel. It's free and it really does help. And if you hit the bell, you'll get a notification the next time I post a video.